Welcome to the Dynasty debate, and we have a special edition today because we are going to be talking about our Dynasty Blockbuster deal today with the San Francisco 49ers. Huge deal, John. How are you doing?
Man, I'm good. It's crazy. I'm glad we were already planning to do this, and this trade happens. It's just ridiculous morning. I'm excited.
Yeah, we got a lot going on, and just to give you a heads up, those of you that are out there, that have jobs, working, doing all those things, you may not have saw it today. Here's some trade details. So the Dolphins got the number 12 pick, a 2021 third, a 2 first, future first, a 2022 first, and a 2023 first. Then they shipped it to the Niners for the number 3 overall. So the Niners have the number 3 overall pick. And not to be outdone right away, then we had the Eagles traded their 6th pick to the Dolphins for number 12 and their 22nd first-round pick. And then they also swapped some mid-round picks. So there's a ton to unpack here. There's a lot of things going on with the Niners and everything here. So first, just off the top of our head, just looking at it, John, what are your thoughts on the 49ers doing this deal?
So, I mean, it's quarterback, obviously, right? So they're trading up for quarterback. It was interesting what they said. Adam Schefter came out and said that the 49ers are not going to move Garoppolo and that he is their starter this year, and specifically said this year. So they're going for a quarterback to groom for the future, and I think that the 49ers believe they're in win now. I also think all the stuff going on with Deshaun Watson kind of propelled this deal a little bit. I think there's definitely some hope from 49ers and Dolphins. Like, I'm sure a lot of teams were out there thinking that Deshaun Watson was in play. Well, he's not in play with the 49ers anymore, and he's probably really not in play with the Dolphins anymore either. Well, I guess possibly could be, probably not, just because of all that stuff going on. So 49ers make a move to go get that 3rd pick in the draft, go pretty much guaranteed. I mean, Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are going to be gone. So whoever they want of those next 3, it's either going to be Mack, Trey Lance, or Fields. I think we probably have different opinions on who it should be, but I don't know. I could see it being the wild card of Mack, so I don't know who it's going to be. But crazy deal. I think the 49ers are in a situation where they're pretty freaking good. Like, they had a lot of injuries last year, and that put them back. But as far as like a football team, they're close to making a run for the Super Bowl. And if they can stay healthy, why not go and try and get that last piece they feel they need, assuming that Garoppolo isn't the guy moving forward? I love it. I think it was a good move for the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, this is a QB-driven league. You got to have a QB, and the Niners didn't have one. Jimmy G is not the answer there. I don't think I've ever been in the Jimmy G camp. I'm interested to hear you say that about Wilson, though. So you think Wilson's penciled into the jet? Done deal?
Oh, done deal. Yeah, in my opinion. And we'll talk about, I know we're doing the debate later, and we'll get into it. But yes, just for this purposes, it's a done deal for me too. Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're going to go with Fields. I have a hard time thinking that the Jets don't do it. I don't know. I think there's a lot of rumors out there. I don't know if you've heard the rumor about maybe Pitts to the Jets. I've heard that rumor as well. Maybe they stick with Darnold and take Pitts and they build it around like Kittle. But that would be – I think this – first of all, this draft's going to be crazy. This is going to be one of those drafts that we talk about for a long time. As far as 49ers go, they have to do it. I think they leverage their capital fine, giving up some first, whatever. You have to do it in that division. That division is tough. Stafford's there now. You got Russell Wilson in Seattle. The Cardinals are reloading, and look what the Cardinals are doing. You got to do these things to try to be relevant, and I agree. Now, the one thing that was weird to me is when he said, Adam Schefter came out and said, hey, they think Jimmy's their guy moving forward. Now, that could be just smoke and mirrors, but that would maybe have me think that they get Lance, right? They have a developmental quarterback. They bring in Lance, who I love. Lance is my QB2 of the class. So I think that Lance could be that guy for them. They develop him in that system, and maybe they try. But again, if they're trading that much capital, I have a hard time thinking they're going to want to draft a guy that's going to sit behind Jimmy.
Yeah, I think it's Fields, personally. I do. I definitely see the Lance thing. The Lance thing makes a whole lot of sense to me because I've always said, I love the upside of Lance. I know you're higher on Lance than I am, but I love the upside of Lance. I don't want to be a Lance hater, but he needs a year. I 100% believe he's incredibly raw, and he definitely needs a year. So if he can sit behind a Garoppolo for a year, I think if the 49ers are thinking that, hey, more power to him. If that's your move, if you think you're getting Josh Allen in a couple of years, I don't have a problem with that trade. I can at least see the connections. I don't quite think he's there, but I mean, I definitely get it, and I've definitely heard that comp. So yeah, I get that, and I would love that. I also will point this out, and I'm connecting some dots, and I'm reaching, and I want to say it before I say this. This is not what I would do. I would not condone this. I'm not a Mac guy, but hear me out on the possibility they're trading up for Mac. if there is a lot of love in coaching circles for Mac Jones, right? I know Chris Sims is one of the guys in the media that talks very highly of Mac Jones. Chris Sims and Shanahan are like this. They're really close friends. It would not surprise me a bit if they're looking at this quarterback class and saying, we want a guy who can stand in the pocket, make every throw, and run our offense. Because Shanahan's so big on his offense. He wants a guy to run his offense. I could see them looking at Mac Jones as a guy who's very accurate, stands tall in the pocket, can make pretty much every throw, and think, hey, yeah, the athleticism and the new age of quarterback that we're seeing in the NFL, he's not that, but there's a lot of things to like about him from a throwing perspective. And if they're at least, it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to say, hey, we just want a passer. We want a stand in the pocket passer to run our offense, and them thinking that Mac Jones is the guy. Again, I wouldn't suggest doing that, but it wouldn't shock me.
No, it wouldn't shock me either. God, Mac Jones scares me. I don't think I want to draft him that high. But again, he could be that guy they're talking about, right? Maybe step in. I think Mac Jones is more ready than Lance, probably. Just as far as quarterbacks where they're at, I still would want Lance, but I understand what you're coming from. I just don't see them giving up that pick to get him. I think they could have moved up to like 8, maybe 7, and not use as much.
You could have gone to the 6 with the Eagles. I mean, you could have done what the Dolphins did and probably got him, right? I mean, I would think. But, I mean, you never know. We watched Daniel Jones get drafted at, 4 or 5 with the Giants. So, I mean, if they feel like Mac is their guy, and if they're sold like there's a drop-off and they think Mac is their dude, then go get him. I mean, you can't blame it, whoever it is, any of those top 3. Even if it's a wild card like that we're not even talking about, whoever it is that you believe that's your guy, you got to go get him. That's the quarterback position in the NFL.
Yeah, no, I don't think I would consider Jones over Lance either. As we got a comment for that, but yeah. I think that we don't know what these teams are going to do when we pretend like we do. But let's talk about the impact on the Niners in terms of dynasty. Like, what do you think? What is your big thing about Brandon Ayuk and Debo? Where do you have them kind of in your rankings, or just in? Are we now set in stone? Like, hey, these guys are buys now. They probably should have been buys before, but are we expecting maybe wide receiver 2 numbers from these guys or so forth? Where do you have them in there?
Yeah, I will say, so what I always try to do when I watch college film is every week, you spend so much time watching college guys, go back and watch NFL dudes to get a sense of the way the speed really is. And like, I always try and like keep that in the back of my mind. It's a Daniel Jeremiah trick that he always talks about. So I try to do that. I went back and watched, just a couple 49ers games and was studying wide receivers just kind of for fun, just to get a speed of the game. I feel like Brandon Ayuk is the guy moving forward for the 49ers. I think Brandon Ayuk is better than Deebo Samuel. I know it's crazy to say, and I know Deebo had a bunch of injuries and stuff this year, and that's probably wasn't at full speed. But I think Brandon Ayuk is another level good. Like, I was just so impressed with him this past year. I don't think this hurts his value at all. I think if anything, it helps all the wide receivers for the 49ers. But I don't know. Like, whoever they get, they're still going to run the same offense, right? Like, they're still going to be probably a run-first team. I still think there's a lot of value in the wide receivers, but they're a little bit of wild cards. You have Kittle, and when he's on the field, he's going to be the guy, and they're going to be a run-first thing type of team that does a lot of cool stuff. Shanahan's offense is always really, really neat, and I always say nifty. It's a nifty offense, and yeah. I like Ayuk. I see value in Deebo Samuel. I don't think this trade does a whole lot to change to move the scales for me. But what do you think?
No, I think that they're around about the same thing, right? I have Ayuk as my wide receiver 21 right now. Debo is about my wide receiver 33. So they're similar. I like Ayuk a little bit more. A recent deal I saw go for Ayuk was Ayuk went straight up for OBJ, Odell Beckham. I love that deal. If I'm rebuilding and I have that now with this mindset, and this is before this trade, I think that the upgrade at the quarterback position, I think that Ayuk will lead them in targets. But again, You're talking about a run-heavy offense, run-heavy scheme, but I still think Ayuk can lead him in targets. I think Debo is very limited in what he can do on the field. I think Debo is a wide receiver 3, where Ayuk is a wide receiver 2 with maybe a wide receiver upside. Maybe not all the way to a wide receiver 1, but he can find himself in the top 15. Top 16 of that category. So for me, it doesn't change much in terms of that. I think that it does help them because Jimmy he tends to target Kittle a lot more. I think Ayuk maybe will get more targets, especially pushing the defense deep. So I like that. Let's go to your team. Your team's the Dolphins here. So we got the Dolphins now. The Dolphins are building. And so like we said earlier, the Dolphins moved back and they traded back up to the 6th pick. My thinking is it's Pitts, Chase, or one of those guys there. That's my understanding. Maybe a lineman drops to them, but I could see maybe lineman going 4 and 5 based on kind of how this mindset's going to work. What are you thinking with this 6th pick? Where do you think they're going?
Yeah, so I mean, I just want to go through my whirlwind of emotions because the first thing happens, 49ers hits, right? I was on the toilet, I see that notification go off my screen. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're going 9 spots, 2 first and a third this year. Like realistically, I liked the value, but I wasn't excited to lose out on all the top end talents class and go down to 12. And it's just like, the 12th pick in the draft misses all the time. You know what I mean? So it's like, it didn't feel like it's such as big of a sure thing as 3 would be. Then we move up to 6 and I'm pumped. I'm excited. Like value wise, great. And who are we getting at 6? Man, I don't know. My theory is whoever we wanted at 3 is still in play at 6. It would not surprise me a bit if the Northwestern lineman was maybe the Dolphins top lineman on the board, and they said, you know what, Penei Sewell's probably going 5. We don't know what the Falcons are going to do, but we feel pretty confident that that if we wanted Chase at 3, Chase is probably there at 6, realistically. Because you got to think, we know Atlanta's not drafting another wide receiver, right? And Bengals could, but I think it's lineman for Bengals, right? Like that's the foregone conclusion in my head. And granted, there's no certainty, so I'm not saying there is, but just in generalities a little bit, I think you could feel confident you're probably getting a top wide receiver or you're getting one of the top tackles, and I think that's where they go. Maybe you go linebacker with Parsons or I've seen other names up there as well. But yeah, I think Pitts at 6, it could be. I think that's where his ceiling starts, or as far as in the draft. I don't think he goes. I'd be very surprised if he went 4 or 5. But if he goes, I think 6 is about where he starts, where it starts to be a possibility for me. But I don't think so, just because of the way the Dolphins used their tight ends last year. I don't think it's a need. I just, maybe they see him as the ultimate weapon, and that's what they want to do. I would value Chase over Pitts, though. So that's just me. Yeah, I'm really excited for the Dolphins. And last thing, I know I've been on a tangent, but just to look at this trade, juxtaposed to what the Colts did in the Sam Darnold trade with the Jets, they moved down from 3 to 6. Basically, they got 2 second-round picks to make that move, and still got their guy in Quentin Nelson. Here, we're moving down from 3 to 6. Get a first-round pick, 2 years from now, 2023, but still first-round pick. We're getting a third-round pick, and we had to swap some picks. I think we got more value than the Colts did overall, and I'm incredibly excited for it.
No, I think so too. I think my big one is Tua. I think they believe in Tua. I think Tua is going to be QB1. And so right now, I just did a quick episode about ADP. In Superflex League, Tua is going to ADP 17 or QB 17. So ADP, so that's insane. To me, that's too low. He's a solid QB option with QB1 upside, especially with his draft capital, what he is. I love this for Tua. And I think if they get him some talent, they could realistically take Pitts. They could realistically take Chase there and then get an offensive lineman. I think it really comes down to what the Falcons are going to do. I could see basically the Falcons that's the pick that's the most valuable now, because I think it's going to be 4 quarterbacks in a row. Do the Falcons take a quarterback? If they do, great. Okay, they took a quarterback and that's what they are. Or they're going to trade out. If that's another quarterback that goes, now you really have options as the Dolphins, because now you're going to be a pick between a top wide receiver, 2 top offensive linemen, whoever is there. I love this for the Dolphins. The Dolphins are smart. It must be nice to have a competent team. They're building and they're building. I love what they're doing there, especially, they're bringing in Fuller, all those different pieces that they have. So they're building now an offense around a defense that's legitimate, and then they have draft capital. So I give this the Dolphins an A for this trade. I mean, that's what they needed to do. I'm interested to see where they go, but I really think Pitts could be the pick. I think that if we look at what Pitts is, so if he was a wide receiver, he'd be my wide receiver 3 in this class. That's how high I am on Pitts. If he gets taken in this pick, maybe they have in that versatile receiver that maybe Tua needs. The sky's the limit with this team. There's so many options they can go with the 6th pick. So I believe in it. I believe in Tua. I'm a big believer in Tua. I think his ADP in Superflex leagues right now is just insane. He's going after Baker Mayfield. That's disrespectful. Okay, Baker's fine, but Tua's upside, I feel like, is more than that. So I'm taking Tua in those instances, but I'm a Tua guy. So I know you have your shortcomings with Tua, but I think with the year, hip, all that stuff. So I love this for Tua. Anything else on the Dolphins before we move on to the Eagles real quick?
Yeah, no, I'm incredibly excited for Tua moving forward. I did get into the hype train of ooh, maybe we'll get Deshaun Watson. Ooh, maybe Trey, or maybe if Zach Wilson was there, I wanted him. Those were the two guys that I wanted to replace Tua this year. Obviously, neither of those things are going to happen, and that was very clear over the past month, really, honestly. So I'm totally fine with it. I'm excited for Tua. I've gotten back into the, hey, he can be a competent starter. You know, as a Dolphins fan, it hurts to see the Herbert and Joe Burrow and think, man, I don't know if they're ever going to be, if he's ever going to be that good. But yeah, overall, I couldn't agree more. I don't know if Pitts is the guy. I know you're thinking. So I do think it's possible. I would be surprised. I'll put it that way. But you're absolutely right. The Falcons are really where the draft starts, regardless of the three quarterbacks that go in what order. It's the Falcons that really start it. If the Falcons go quarterback, then that's four quarterbacks, and it's just it adds even more value to that fifth and sixth pick. And honestly, the Bengals and the Falcons really have to be the happiest because this trade basically added more value to the fourth and fifth pick overall, you know? So it'll be interesting to see. A lot of fun. I was up until today, I did not think there was going to be this many quarterbacks going in the first round or going in the top 10, excuse me. I absolutely agree. It's going to be 4 in the top 10. And I thought it would be 3 in the top 10 and one of them was going to fall out. Now I'm convinced it's going to be 4 and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
I mean, I could realistically say I think it's going to be 5. I think maybe the Panthers are in there, the Broncos, maybe they sneak in, or some other team maybe comes up. It's going to the quarterback landscape. I keep saying this. It's so desolate after that. It's like 12 or 13 guys. You're really going to see these quarterbacks shoot up more. The value is just going to be there. There's a reason why, like even next year's class, Carson Strong, these guys from Nevada, you're going to be looking at all these kind of like Keaton Slovis, all these different guys. They're going to be highly sought after too. So we have a change there. Now, talking about quarterbacks, Eagles, Jalen Hurts seems like maybe he's going to be their guy moving forward. I have reservations about that a little bit, but hey, you can't argue with his Konami code running ability. You can't argue with, hey, if they're going to put the talent around them. Now, so they move back to the 12th pick. You know, I would think they would need talent. Waddle would be there more than likely. Some of these wide receivers definitely that they're going to have to fill. They have a lot of holes to fill. So, them moving back was good because they do need some help there. What do you think about this? So are you a believer in Hurts? And then are you a believer? What do you think they're going to do with that 12th pick?
I would like to see Hurts get a shot. I'll put it that way. I'm not a long-term believer in Hurts as far as I question the arm. I think the arm is always going to leave Eagles fans and the Eagles organization wanting a little bit more, and that's kind of how I see it playing out for him. I think as a fantasy option is the next couple of years, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. This next year, he's going to be running all over the field. I feel like that's going to be their offense, and then it's you're going to have a lot of value with his legs. So from a fantasy standpoint, I love it. From an Eagles standpoint, I think this is a soft rebuild, and they're kind of seeing what they can get with Waddle, with Hurts. I know the wide receiver was the pick at 6, and wide receiver is still probably the pick at 12, and they do need wide receiver very bad. I was talking to an Eagles fan earlier. I think corner at 12 is the move. I think, if you can get Farley, if you can get Surtain, if you can get, J.C. Horn, if you can get the guy out of Georgia, who some people are really high on, I'm forgetting his name right now. I think corner would be the move at 12. I think, if you really feel like you need to get a wide receiver to see what you really have in Hurts, you could trade it. You can trade back into the first round and get a Terrace Marshall. That would be a good pick. Like there's some guys at the beginning of the second, in that kind of range where you could, they're in play is what I'm saying. So I think the Eagles soft rebuild. I would go grab talented guys and be aware that, even if Hurts isn't the guy, he can not be the guy this year, and you can go get a guy next year or the year after, and you can at least give him a shot. Because I do think he deserves that. And with the career he's had in college, I've always been a fan of the person. I'm not sure about the player though. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And then the extra pick next year, right? So they're going to have draft capital. They can move it. They can take it and say, hey, if this guy isn't it, maybe move up, try to get Howe or Rattler. And these other guys, give them a year. They need that offensive line is not great either. So if we're talking about maybe that 12th pick, maybe one of these guys falls, right? Maybe we see some offensive talent come. Maybe the cornerbacks come. So I could see the Eagles even going towards that. So we could see the Eagles definitely. They have a lot of different options at that 12th pick. Corners, depending on where they're at. But I think this is a big, massive value for Hurts, right? In super flex leagues or in those type of leagues, you're going to be getting a QB now for a year, hey, can he transition? Whatever value you got for him, I saw him go in the 3rd and 4th round of some drafts last year. So you're getting extreme value on him. This is maybe a time to move Hurts if you want. he's going to have extreme value now, so maybe you move him. But I don't know what for. Like we talked about the quarterback landscape. As far as the other guys, Rieger maybe, Dallas Goedert, those guys I think are fine, but they really got to shore that offensive lineup. I really feel like that's kind of a big thing for them, and that defense is awful. So the Eagles did what they needed to do. Unfortunately, I hate it because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I think that this is good because they're building. They're going to go through a little rebuild. They've got some bad contracts. I really think they're really building for next season, so that's good. They're going to get that draft capital there. So, man, shocking trade. I'm excited. This year is going to be a lot of fun. I think one thing that we're going to find from these trades. Anything really quick to add to this before we get out of here?
Yeah, just as far as dynasty value, because that's what this show is about for the Eagles. I think Dallas Goedert got a lot more valuable, right? Because you got to think that Pitts isn't in play at 12. He's probably gone. I think his absolute floor is 15, but really, honestly, his absolute floor is probably 12. I don't think he gets there. So like that has to make you feel good if you're a Dallas Goedert owner, knowing that Ertz has been on the trade market for a while. Right now, I would bet that starting week 1, Ertz isn't on that roster. So I love the Dallas Goedert value. I think it hurts Jalen Rieger a little bit because Rieger needs another wide receiver opposite him, I think, to get his full potential. But we'll see. A Fulgham, late, I think like a 6th-round pick kind of guy that was a nobody, but kind of came on this past year. He's going to be a little bit more valuable because you feel like, you at least feel confident Chase isn't going to end up there at the Eagles. He'll be gone. Probably Smith is gone. At least 2 wide receivers are probably gone by the time they pick, I would guess, and I could be wrong in that. But I do think it adds a little bit of value to the rest of that team. Although I'm not saying sit here and be super excited, but definitely interesting. Definitely like a net positive if you're an owner of any of those guys. Most of those guys.
Yeah, and even Sanders, really, because I think RPOs and what they're going to be able to do with Hurts will increase his value. I think that, Hurts will look to target him, so we're going to see that. I think Waddle could be the pick. If I had to make a guess right now, I think if Waddle fell there, but Waddle's my wide receiver too. So I'm a little higher on Waddle than most, but Waddle could be that guy. But hey, I'm excited about it. I think overall, unless you're a Jimmy G owner, you hate your life right now. But if you're a Jimmy G owner at this point, you messed up. But other than that,
I say I am, and I'd already given up. It's fine.
And if you're a Jimmy G owner, you're expecting him to get moved somewhere. I know everybody says the Patriots all the time, but there's some dark horses out there. Maybe the Broncos take a shot. Maybe some of these other guys that maybe these gap guys. Maybe who knows is going on in Houston. So you're looking for all these different categories. Maybe they move those guys to different spots. But Jimmy G, that's probably the biggest loser in this. But everybody else pretty much wins in this deal. It's a really good deal from all the sides. I guess if you're a San Francisco fan, you might be thinking, hey, I gave up a lot. But at a certain point, you got to get these quarterbacks, and you have to get a franchise quarterback. It's why Dak had to get paid $40 million. It is what it is. You just deal with it.
Honestly, you're a team that's hitting the mid rounds a bunch lately, so you're fine. It'll be okay. I absolutely agree.
So, hey, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know who you think won the trade. If you tuned in on this, Twitter, Periscope, whatever you did, I really appreciate you guys, and we will check you guys later.